meeting in order, please. Clerk?
Yes, sir.
And G. Cummings? We're ready, thank you. Call to order the workshop. First up, discussion regarding city mural signs and regulations.
All right. It is. So Diane and I are here to represent an opinion that Vision has. And so many years ago, just a quick little history. 2008 was the first mural, and we just finished our last one, and it's number 15 this year. So in all that length of time, we had an ordinance for part of the time, and early on we didn't have anything at all. And we were the one that suggested to the council that they might want to set some precedent with the murals, so that you were always guaranteed that somebody could have a piece of paper and they could say, yes, we do this, yes, we do this. And we get down here and say, oh, but you can't advertise your business on a wall mural. This is art. This is public art. And so they have this put together, and actually it's pretty good. It's broad enough in some areas that you can have a little latitude, and it's specific in others. And so we've had a lot of luck, and the council has been wonderful to us. That we have presented the idea first, just to make sure that it's going over with everyone. And then when you say yay, and you said yay, except for one time in our whole existence.
Well, at one point, the city council was like, no, we really don't paint murals. And I asked that the city council be the gatekeeper, so that no inappropriate art came about. So as a courtesy, we show you the art, and as a courtesy, you tell us yes.
But it's in the ordinance that it's done like that. So you have to present it before the council 2 different times. First, to look at it and see what you think, and then at the end, so that we can go on and present it to Lampasas, the city. So we have a new council, and we have new people moving in here all the time. And I'm sure that unless someone says there is an ordinance, that most people will just say, my building, I can put anything on here that I want. And that's not the case, because we have an ordinance. So I don't know who the policeman is for the ordinance, and it's certainly probably not the council members, and certainly not us. But I think that it's a good time to start to look at some of our ordinances. Of course, we're here about the murals, but we want to help you by keeping the good standard that we've set. And there'll be many other people that will come after us that will, do wonderful, wonderful art, and you will love it. Our idea is to help you out some, and we think it'd be a good idea, and you all talk about it and see what you think. Has everyone read these? You kind of know what they say. It's pretty broad, but we think maybe in order for the council to kind of take the heat off of the council, you might want to ask a few people to buddy up and look at designs as they come across or come before you. Not that we're going to judge. I say we because the Vision seems to me would be an obvious group to be able to do it, since we've done 15 already. We have a lot of experience. But we think that maybe LAFTA might want to, be a member of maybe someone from Vision, and then maybe one other entity. And our idea is maybe to just, if you get someone that says, they want to, visit with you about the artwork, send it through us, and have us just check the things off of here. Yes, it's this, yes, it's that, yes, it's that. You all can make a decision of whether or not, you like it or whatever. But I think what the whole thing is about is there's nothing inappropriate that's put up on walls. And I think sometimes building owners think that they can do anything that they want with their building. And that is, I guess that's pretty true. You probably have a lawsuit if you, said that they couldn't put something on their walls. But because there's an ordinance, I think that's trying to keep everything nicely done, appropriately put up. There's a lot of things that we've learned over since 2008. One of is paint, one's process, one's finishing coats so that they'll stay there. If they don't use our experience, then their murals are not going to last. You may have someone that comes in that says, I'm gonna pay someone to do a mural for me, and they might pay $10,000 or $15,000. You may not know whether or not they have the experience to put the correct paints on and stuff like that. And so we're trying to be helpful. We're trying to be, let them come before 3 people and just say, what kind of paints did you use? We'd be happy to tell them. We'd be happy to help anybody that, would like to put them up. One of the big things I think is the stayability of the art. I love Ghost art, and I think Diana does too.
Yeah.
We like Ghost art, but you know what?
It's murals that are faded, and they're beautifully faded.
And they're beautifully made. And so you don't ever want to do that. So we had a Coca-Cola one down in town for the longest time, and you could barely see. I was probably there 50, 60 years or something, and that's beautiful. But most people who look at those say, why haven't they done something with that art? So I think education is one thing we might be able to help in education. Also, some suggestions for paints and things like that. And if you all discuss this and you think that that might be a plan that would work for you, we'd be happy to do it. If you decide not to have a third party, and I'm calling it a third party in here, I still think that it's a good idea for you guys to discuss the ordinances and that we should have some advertisements. There should be some things in the paper that say, something about wall art or something about some other ordinance that's already in place, but people don't know about it. They can't adhere to what you want unless they know about the ordinances. So this is a good time. We have a lot of people that are moving in, and there's a lot of probably good ideas and good artists and good people that want to do something fabulous that hasn't been done here before. But the ordinances are going to keep them all in line.
At one point, there was a sign ordinance person, and it cost $200 to put a sign up. And he actually tried to charge visual Lampasas, and I had my very first visit in this building. And he decided not to charge us. So if it's a sign and there's a fee for it, then there should be a fee for it. It is art, and really never the twain shall meet. It shouldn't, there's a sign ordinance that says you pay a fee for that, and you should pay a fee for that. So maybe you just need a third party to decide if it's a mural or a sign. So we're offering our services.
That's where we are. But we also really feel, passionate about making sure the ordinances are available to people. So I think some advertisements, and there may be some other ordinances that, you want to do collective, put in the newspaper and say, we're revisiting this, or I don't know, you all have to do that. But I do think it's a good idea. I don't know how many people we have moving in here a year. Last year, there's something like 400 or 500 extra students, last year, and that's a lot. And you have to wonder, at one point, when people don't really realize what the rules are. Coming to a small town, there's no rules about having an 18-wheeler parked in front of your house next door to a place, school or something like that, and there may be some ordinances about that. Anyway, that's our presentation, and I hope that you guys will, think it through and maybe come to some ideas. Any questions about? I will say we've never presented something that wasn't an addition to the community. I'm sure all of you have seen them.
And we really appreciate the city's support. At one point, they even let us borrow a cherry picker because we needed it for something. It's very generous of the city to support the murals in town. And I think they're a wonderful addition.
We've had lots of people across Texas stop here because of our sculpture garden and because of our murals. And we don't want them to say, oh, don't go look at the one on 3rd Street. No, that's terrible. So anyway,
That's it. Thank you.
I got one question for you. When a mural is outdated, and I'm just kind of thinking outside the box right now on the clips.
so we have a plan for that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're taking off the,
It says coming, that is on a piece of metal and
it'll come off.
And the moon is, when it gets moved the next time, we'll actually replace that moon with black, solid moon. And then we'll always have bragging rights in the eclipses.
And keep the date on there, but yeah.
So we planned ahead 3 years ago.
I like the idea of keeping art and keeping
Signs.
advertising
Separate.
out of it.
Vision Lampasas has been, we've been scrupulous about not painting signs.
We've been invited to.
Yeah, and we have been invited several times. No, there are sign painters in town, and that's the business, and that's what they make a living, and I'm not gonna paint attorneys or antiques or anything like that. Some of our girls have done private work, work that was done in the museum. The museum hired one of our, just happens to be our artist, and she did that privately.
I also think there could be a mix between like promoting your business and also in an artistic manner.
And that
We
would
don't
help.
think you're.
Like you,
Oh, you do?
I think you can promote a business, it's still need artwork.
Well, I could foresee that we've done some things I didn't think we'd be able to do. We did the spring hoe sign, which was art and a sign. Although it doesn't say, it's not a business per se.
Right. But I mean, it seems like a business putting their name outside their
They would
office.
probably have to do that. The Vigilant passes is, we strictly do it for free, we do it to improve the community, and Vigilant passes as an entity wouldn't do it.
Business owners who want to, hire somebody to do that.
Well, I think that's where this comes in
Right.
handy, because it specifically says that you can't advertise your business. Now, could you have a sign?
That can also be
For it to be
changed.
Yeah, it could be, yeah, it could be changed, but you can do a sign and add a mural to it, but you can't do a sign and call it a mural. So you could have the same, you can have the same, but you would pay, if there's a fee for doing a sign in town, I don't know if there is,
I don't know if there is.
I don't know that, but if there is a sign, they can pay the sign, and I guess they can pay almost anything.
Right.
There.
I think if there was a tiebreaker, it would have to come before the city council. for that sign.
Well, I'm just wondering too, weren't there some changes in legislation about restrictions the city can put on design and aesthetic of buildings?
Most of those were for exterior finishes, not necessarily sign. I think the sign ordinance, without having it in front of you, does provide council some latitude to, and I think you're going to look at one tonight that might fit in that category that looks pretty darn attractive to me. I think we can dress up the building, but I think council does have a fair amount of latitude within the sign.
It has in here as one of its points, it says, council approval.
So I just do think that it should, the city should have a say or an ordinance in place like you do. You don't want someone to come in and just paint something inappropriate and then not have any rules against that.
And then it's something inappropriate, which actually probably cause for some kind of movements violation or maybe actually ticketing, more legal aspects.
I just think it's wise to have the ordinance in place, and then let the city council have the final say on it.
Do you all have any questions about how we might get help you? Does it sound like something that you might consider, just have like a little internet, whatever it was, a little,
Yeah, subcommittee for.
little subcommittee, just so that when you get it, when you do have it, we've already looked for all these things, and the only thing you have to do is, we love it or we don't. And you don't have to love every one of them.
I think that's what it is, I like.
I think it's something we should look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least talk about it.
We don't want to discourage anybody from helping us make the task. We're really passionate for people to help us.
And the other thing too, I guess, is that if you're paying for it, the chances are they're probably using a graphic designer or, something like that, so, and that's good, I mean, that's a good place. Our stuff is all hand done, and that's probably a thing of the past, I would say. We've
We're
done
looking
it.
at some graphic designs, as a matter of fact, I'm looking into an AI design mural. So, that's exciting things on the horizon.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Item up, is, discussion and recap regarding recent transmission, main break and current route compensation statement.
Being Mayor and Council, we wanted to really combine both of these topics in one agenda item, they are somewhat related. Events and as well as during the transmission main break, we had to go to an emergency level of conservation to keep water water pressurized in our system. For the former, Wednesday about 4:30 p.m. on the 26th of July is when we understood that there was a main break in Kempner. That event basically lasted, well, actually through Monday if you count the lifting of the boil notice, but for all intents and purposes, by Sunday we were repaired out of the woods, ready to get our boil notice reversed. During that time, we had 77 different employees that had some level of response, plus many of you sitting at the table as well. And that's anything from distributing water to answering phones, to coordinating with other agencies, dropping water off of people at their houses. The Kempner Water Supply Corp did an exceptional job under some pretty unusual circumstances. One, they had a building on top of this main break, it was a pole barn, so it's not like they had to post up any concrete, but they had to remove the pole barn and get heavy equipment in. They also could not isolate that main break. They basically drained their entire system, I think, with the exception of a few laterals that they were able to shut off. That's a 25-mile stretch, 20 to 24-inch pipe. That's a lot of water that they had to drain out of their system. We did provide assistance to them from time to time, back truck, crews, standby, etc. But I want to make it clear that Kempner Water did the heavy lifting on this in terms of bringing contractors in, bringing pipe welders in, and they did a pretty remarkable job. Our system, as many of you already know, is remain at, I would guess, 90% pressurized.
Yes, sir.
90%. I mean, we lost some pressure and some were without water on the fringes of our pressure planes, but we had originally estimated, Stephen thought that our storage would handle about 24 hours before we would drain out. We were able to keep that system 90% pressurized for over 36 hours. And that's not because of anything we necessarily did, it's because the citizens stepped up and said, if we want to flush toilets, we better save this water. And they did that. It was a pretty exceptional outpouring of their efforts. The other thing we found out, you got this at your table, we found out through our communication and through Monica's analytics that the way we push information out worked. The alerts, you've got a little graph in front of you, and you can see that big peak. That's when people really use the alert system. And so I think what this tells us is that our communication was effective on this item. Anything else you can tell Monica?
Well, it's normally we average about 25,000 to 35,000 page views on our website a month. And for July, you can see in front of you, it was 75,434 page views. And 23,055 views of that 75,434 was the alert center. So that's huge. So we definitely utilize that during all of the water crisis that we had and had a really good response from it.
It works. Chief, how much water did we distribute?
I'll go back to my record.
Basically, it was we had bulk water as well as a tractor trailer.
We had 3 trailers that had just water in it that you could come by and pick up if you needed for whatever purpose. Then we had a tractor trailer that was full of palletized water. Don't forget that H-E-B and Walmart stepped up really big by bringing in extra water at their facilities. So the people that needed to go and get it from us, a lot of people did that, but I think H-E-B and Walmart did the lion's share of that, just to making sure that there were plenty in their stores.
Mayor and Council, I'd like to shift gears and talk about the next topic, unless there are any other questions about the event itself. Currently our lake levels are critical and primarily due to the levels of raw water pumps, where they will, if the situation persists, we'll have trouble drawing water from Stillhouse. I I do want to let you know that we have been meeting with Central Texas and Kempner every couple of weeks, and talking about conservation measures. I'm pleased to report, I know Ryan will probably chime in about the efforts that they're making in terms of building in some additional capacity within their system, as well as looking at some additional interconnections that would provide us and them more water. Kempner is looking at the interconnection WCID. I think they're going to start that on Friday.
They sent out some updates today, actually Becky had shared with me. I think the divers are already there, kind of ready to go, so maybe kick off tomorrow as early as tomorrow.
And that's for improvements to their water pumping and being able to get a little bit deeper. But the WCID connection is another step as well. Central Texas has got an interconnection with Killeen, as well as they're looking at upgrading the pump station so they can push more water to the west. So all of those items are very helpful to our current efforts. The other thing that I'm pleased to report to you, you have this in your packet as well, Director C, is we did hear from Kempner today, and they were pretty pleased in terms of conservation efforts and results that they were seeing in terms of raw water use to the west. Normally, this time of year, we're pumping 2.2 million gallons a day. You can see in the last couple of days that 1.4 million. So there's a significant amount of conservation going on. That is, again, due to our citizens taking this seriously, as well as we've been spending some staff time, putting door hangers out and items like that. Calling people directly. If we see a high meter reading, we'll give that person a call. Based on current conditions, we feel like it is prudent to go to stage 4, but staff would offer some modifications, one of which would be the restriction for new water meter placements. Right now, we probably have less than 5, maybe 10 at most residents in the pipeline. We've already got some that are under construction that will have their meter, but we think that as well as we're conserving, those few meters are just not going to have any significant difference, particularly in the short term. And so we don't feel like, we feel like that's a reasonable modification under that. The other thing that stage 4 does is it does not allow any outdoor irrigation with the exception of by buckets. And we've also seen, I've seen a step down maybe from automatic irrigation, sprinkler irrigation to hose watering, so you can at least hose water some trees and maybe a little bit of landscape on one day a week on your time. So we think that we are at a critical enough stage in terms of the ability to pump water out of Stillhouse at its current lake level that we think that is a prudent stage to go to, but we also feel like it's worthy of consideration, those modifications that we don't think will impact us too severely at all. But we'd be interested in your comment. Ryan, did I miss anything?
No, I think you touched on everything, as far as stage 4 goes. The only thing I would throw in is commercial car washes. They're still allowed to operate under stage 4, so that would impact that group. So,
I definitely recommend stage 4 with modification, rather than bucket, hose water, and to prevent new meters rewater.
Without objection, that's the direction staff will head in.
Make sure I get correctly, to continue to allow water meters, or new water meters. Okay.
Again, and Becky, chime in please, but we have 5 homes in the pipeline.
Yes, very minimal right now. There's some active, but as far as the new builds, yes, very minimal.
I've got 4 phone calls today about, am I gonna be able to get a water meter? And, I mean, I think that's something that we need to leave on the table.
And
It
that does not-
restricts business, it restricts workers in our community.
I think,
Recommended to.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, we need to.
yeah, but I think, you know, if we come back in 2 weeks from now and things are significantly worse, we have another lever. And so, at least at this point, that's, we're proceeding, with modifications unless there's any objection. That's all I have to report on that. Discussion regarding 2023-2024 budget status and modifications. Mayor and Council, you have budget amendment number 1 for the FY 23-24 budget in front of you, or at your seat. And as I've been known to do from time to time, we're going to go to the end of the memo first. So we'll go to the end of it first, and we'll just take a quick look. There's a fairly compact spreadsheet there at the end, which indicates the adjustments that from our August 7th meeting that were made. That would include basically 1 FTE and 1 FTE to start in March, a truck for Chris, some sort of water assessment money, and again, we would need to fine tune that scope. It does note that one of the funding sources, new funding sources, what we talked about on the 7th and on the 24th as well, which was an adjustment in the electric department capital, where materials came in under what we originally estimated when we budgeted. It does include it does have the ability to fund a 4% COLA as well as some money for some market adjustments for certain positions. And with that, I'll start from the beginning now, but everybody's always wondering, you know, what do the numbers look like and what's included, what isn't. The budget balance, as we presented, projected year end is about 400,000 surplus, with at the time, July 24th, our proposed budget was about a $326,000 surplus. We did get direction from council, particularly after the August 7th meeting, regarding items related to water sources as well as conservation investigation, taking a look at additional full-time equivalents within the Parks Department, development services, again, the pickup truck, cost of living adjustment for employees, and the electric department savings. And we'll go over some other options you have. This is, you know, just because we get to a point, please don't consider this a number, the final number. If there are things that we need to look at, talk about, or include or modify our budget to do, that's council's job, and we certainly want to hear from you. A couple of things about what was in the budget we want to remind you of. There were no elevated utility rate increases. I think one of the things that we may want to look at some point is some cost recovery from recent increases in our wholesale water. We also note that the street department capital levels are 2020 levels. Remember, we had a couple of years where we really beefed up the street department budget. We took care of 3rd Street. I think we had, and that was also one of the years was Avenue E, West Avenue E, which was a great project. 3rd Street was a great project. The other thing that we want to also point out is that there are no additional agency or organization funding noted. So if you want to consider HOP, rural transportation, please let us know that, and we'll try to get funding for that. FTEs, again, 1 full-time parks, 1 full-time building and planning. Building and planning will be starting in March. 2 reasons for that. One is we save a little money. The other reason is it gives us time to put together a job description based on the needs of that position in that department as well as council priorities. We want to make sure, we know we need help in that area, but exactly what that help is going to have specific responsibility to do, I think we want to flesh out a little bit. The additional parks employee, actually what is happening there is we'll take Vicki Tower, who is also doing HR, put her into more, so she can focus a little bit more on HR as well as other admin duties.
and then the parks person will come in and pick up her parks duties as well as others. Water resources, again, council at August 7th asked staff to include some investigation into new water sources. That would, at least how we heard it, was a review of water quality, treatment options based on water quality, finished water capacity based on treatment options, permit allowances, taking a look at some aquifer investigation, locations, capacities, and quality, as well as effective conservation programs. We don't see this as a full-blown PER. I've already said that probably 20 times, but this would be more of a items that could be researchable, some data collection, some obviously some technical and engineering expertise would be required to package this up, but it would give you an idea of what your options would be, and then at that point you may have to go forward and say we want to further investigate this particular option in terms of a more formal scope and more formal preliminary engineering report. And we fully envision that this scope will be developed with council. We want to make sure that what you want to have done is what we actually ask someone to do for us. So, electric capital costs, as we've already talked about that, we've made an adjustment there based on estimated costs. We feel like we can actually pre-order some of those materials that may not be needed for several months, but we can go ahead and expense them out of FY23, and that expense is already included in your projected year. And so the $400,000 we've got projected year in surplus, that expense is already included. We want to adjust that. COLA adjustments, the budget balance at this point can support a 4% COLA and still have a little bit for some market adjustments. COLA costs are calculated at $78,000 per percent. That is a burden cost. I think one thing that we would again remind council of is that we still have options. We've got some money in Fund 68 that is not allocated at this point. It does come with certain conditions of the bond issuance. However, if you wanted to use that for example, more water investigation, you could, I believe. I think water was probably one of the, we'll double check the concept. But the other thing too is if you wanted to take a look at agency funding, personnel costs, project funding, we still have a lot of options on the table. The good news, and I think what we told you right off the meeting, is we wanted to bring you options and not problems. And that's, I think, the position. Staff has done very well in putting this budget together. I think they've gotten the philosophy that we're going for and the reasoning why we budgeted this way. But they did a good job, and I think they're not budgeting money that's over the top or not needed. So, but I'd like your opinions at this point and what you'd like to see the staff do.
Actually, maybe that Fund 68, 40,000 come out of that, like you're saying, for the water study, and where they were going to on there, maybe going towards targeted salary adjustments, top of the where you have like 67, 70, 68, 70, there's some I was thinking about. Okay, there's some folks down there that might need to be brought up some.
Anybody else?
You said Fund 68 can be used for salary adjustments? No, it cannot.
We cannot. So but you could use it. We believe that you could use it for the water investigation. Bring that money. Yes. And we'll double check. I didn't have the conditions in front of me. Typically, the bond, the language and the purpose is you have enough latitude for infrastructure capital projects, but it's not meant to support, in any way, kind of the ongoing maintenance.
Very good. Okay. Practice yourselves. Discussion regarding right-of-way use permit process and associated fees.
Mayor, council, this is one of those, needed, I feel like, permits, so to give you a little bit of background, what we typically deal with day in, day out, I think everybody's familiar with the way contractors work. You know, there's times they need to get in the right of way to do some sort of work, whether that's, Atlas trenching the road, or trenching down the shoulder of the road. There's overhead work that happens. And so, when you kind of think in terms of how do we manage this? So it's become, as we develop out, as we get, more businesses coming in, looking at how that impacts our right of way. So when I'm talking right of way, just to give you a little bit of background, it's always from property line to property line, what we have in the street to our property line is our right of way. And so basically this permit is structured to manage that, more specifically impacts and contractors set up in the road. So there's a couple things that it does, and I think it's probably the key to the whole permit is knowing where the contractors are, how long they're going to be there, do they have insurance, what kind of traffic control is needed for that type of setup, if you're setting up, blocking the lane, closing the road, whatever that is. And so structurally, looking at it from how do we manage this, internally, so that we know there's an accident out there in the work zone, we know they were there doing this type of work on this day, or if something's left for the city and the taxpayers to go back and fix, we have somebody that we can reach out to and we can say, a year from now, we knew Atlas was here, or, this fiber company was running some underground fiber, the ditch caved in, it's damaged the road, we know who to go back to ask those things. So basically how we're structuring this permit is as a guide for us to know exactly kind of what's going on out there on our streets, within our right-of-ways, and manage that. I think most people, especially the developers locally, are really good about calling dispatch and saying, hey, we're gonna close this road, we gotta get out here and do this work. I think all of them are very diligent when they do that, so that's always been a plus. But this adds to that for knowledge, it's almost more of a public works aspect, so that we know who's out there working, and if there's damages, how do we go about that? And we've had some contractors recently that we're working with on fixing some of those things. They were very good at keeping us in the loop, but there'll be times when contractors from out of town come in and they're not about reaching out to the city and, following any kind of process. And the next thing you know, you're getting a call, and I'll get those calls at times. How come this road is closed? What are we doing over here? And if we don't know, we don't have any way of, tracking that. So really, the permit, the way the permit is structured, it's a $150 fee. The breakdown of the fee is the traffic control plan that's submitted. That's about 1 hour of review time, depending on what type of traffic control plan it is and how in depth it is. It's about 30 minutes or half an hour for the public works admin to go through that submitted permit, make sure everything's there, reach out if they need to get more information. And then the last piece of that is inspection. So once the contractor has approved their permit, they're out there working in the road, it needs to be inspected as far as traffic control. So that covers 1 hour of inspection time. So really try to kind of structure the permit around that as far as the fees go. And then there's, fine, basically what we're proposing is $250 fine, not to exceed, $500, if you're working without a permit, or if you're out there doing something unsafe, or whatever that circumstance might be. So really that's really kind of the goal, is so that we'll know. Ultimately, when we get those permits, IT's been great. They've been building a web page, so it'll be digital. They can go out there, put it in, make a call, pay for the permit over the phone, so they never actually, nobody has to come in. They can upload the files for the traffic control plan and all those things. And so I feel pretty confident that piece, we've been kind of trialing that, it's been working. And it basically tells you, when you sign that permit or submit that form, you put your name in, date it, and that's you saying you agree to the terms. There's about 4 pages of terms that, kind of cover what you can and can't do with the right of way and things that we're kind of looking for. So, stand for any questions or sit for any questions.
I think this is overdue.
The fine, is there like a warning or anything, or is it like, you don't get a permit, you're gonna be fined the first time, or how does that work?
That would go back to whoever is citing that person. If it's typically, we'll reach out to Tony Mario, who's our code enforcement officer. I will say he's diligent on what he does, and he also, talks to folks and makes sure, hey, did you know about this? Every instant could be a little bit different. The assumption would be if you're working with no permit, you most likely get a fine. But
We give them an opportunity to come in, get it.
Chief, I assume it would be enforced similar to the way you enforce other code violations.
City ordinance would be like any other city ordinance or any other class in this community. Someone calls, especially after hours, and said, I don't want the streets closed here, I'm aggravated, I can't get to my house, there's construction going. Trucker gets up there and talks to them, they don't have a permit, well, he's got an option, like any other class C. He investigated obviously, and he decided, I don't have to do anything, I can take information, I can go back for advice tomorrow, he can always issue a citation the next day, or if he feels like a written warning, he can do that. Real clear, talk to the complainant, and let them know it's handled. Then we warrant, or he can issue a ticket if he feels like it's justified, because maybe they were just arrogant about it, caused a big old problem, knew better, and if his investigation lead him to realize that would be his prerogative at that point. But I would like to think that most of the time, when this is a major problem, we like to warn them, let them know, document it, that way we've got information for later, if we're offended offenders. And our officers will go back and look and ask the dispatch, we've got history here, this location, this company. So we've got a lot of work, but I'd like to think we only issue citations when they're necessary.
Yeah, that's what I would always defer to PD, but
And just to kind of piggyback on that a little bit, there will be public notice going out, so we will put out in the paper letting you know, this fee is gonna be added to our fee schedule. So we will, those that are repeat people that come in, call us about fiber, or call about Adams gaps, to be line, we'll reach out to them and let them know this is coming. So we won't blindside anybody, that there'll be notice out there for them.
yeah, I think that's a good point. That Becky made is, as we're talking through this, even having meetings to bring all the developers in locally and reach out to the developers that work in Lampasas, but they are not from here as well, just to give them an update. Hey, this ordinance is coming, so everybody's well aware of it. If it doesn't, if it is approved, so we definitely will loop everyone in and make sure everybody's aware of this, especially locally.
All good?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Mr. Acker? Discussion regarding fuel season.
Session and season. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So our goal for a typical full season is always Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day weekend. Always been that way, it will be that way, I guess, forever. But and then after Labor Day, we try to stay within the Hancock weekends only. We're usually able to do that. Unfortunately, this year, school started back early and started with the gardens pretty quickly. So we've had to scale way back. This now will be weekends only at Hancock. That's going to take place at Hancock. Scheduled pool parties will be at Hannah Pool, and aerobics will still take place at Hannah Pool. We still plan to try to stay open until Labor Day weekend, as long as we retain guards, and then hopefully through September, if we can keep enough guards to get us there. That's our goal. And just so you know, it's not a law, but it kind of is in our book that we need one guard for every 25 swimmers. So If we got down to 2 or 3 yards, we had number of people would come in and maybe limit the number of hours they spend. I don't know how to do that. Anyway,
How many guards do you have right now?
very few. I think we're below 10 now.
How many more do you expect to lose? All of them?
I don't know. We're gonna lose them all eventually. I just don't know how long we're gonna retain them. This information I'm giving you right now could change before the weekend. I mean, that's how quick it's changing. All the kids going back to school, whether it's local or collegiate, but, and they're in extra, tennis, cheerleading, 2 a day, I mean, it's 99% of the staff at pool is school, so when it starts back, it's not just that.
Unfortunately, we can only do what we can do.
Yes, and this is something else we need to keep back of our heads as we're talking about these water restrictions that are coming up and how serious the drought is. Hancock Pool is kind of deceiving when you think it's a spring-fed pool, and it is. But usually 3 days out of the week, we've got that thing drained and we're hosing it down with fire hose and pressure washers, so we use a lot of city water to clean that thing. So, we probably need that once every 2 weeks if we need to, but we use a lot of tap water there.
Any other questions?
Should we like switch to every other week?
We already have, last weekend, and you can go. It's that, well, it's hot. Into the drive out, and it's got this one.
Well, it's quick.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And up next, discussion regarding solar.
That's it.
That's Mr. Martin, your name is on here.
I'm just here.
All right, so last time we presented the council, first good evening, council, but last time we presented the council, we kind of we approved the restrooms, but then we also announced that we were gonna possibly go and do a planning informational meeting to go to organizations to see if they wanted to participate in the 580 sports complex planning event for the solar eclipse. And then when we were thinking through it, Chamber, Parks and I, we were thinking about how we would structure it. What would the board look like, or how would we involve all the organizations if we have a lot of them involved? So we're thinking through that, came with a plan, then we don't want to go too far down the road without also getting your blessing. So we wanted to present what that looks like, but then there's additional questions that came with it. So our idea is that if we provide this kind of town hall or informational meeting, and we get some interest from some organizations, say we get 4 organizations that want to be a part of it, we want to make sure everybody has an equal voice. So then that organization would then elect one representative from their group, and then that would form the board. So if there's 4 organizations interested, it's a 4-person board. So then it will be up to them to decide how they want to structure it. Do they want to, I guess, elect somebody as a president, anything, that's going to be up to them. We would kind of hand it off and say, okay, this is the Solar Eclipse Committee, and y'all can do your due diligence, figure out what you want this to look like, who's handling what, but then the city would kind of take a back seat and we let them do their thing, and we would go to each meeting just so we can be in the know, but we would hope that they're going forth and organizing this. But again, we're not sure if we're gonna have any interest, but that is kind of the structure that we're thinking about. But then it kind of goes forward that we're gonna get the questions of if they're gonna ask so already the city is providing restrooms, we're providing dumpsters, and we're providing fencing. But then are we gonna also be is the city gonna provide security? And then are we also going to be providing parking management, or do we want them to do parking management? And so those are the 2 questions that we really need to know. And then also, should the city permit overnight camping, including tents and RVs? Because we were to do that, because we're a little concerned that maybe people aren't gonna be able to get there in time in the middle of the day, Monday morning, to get to 580. So that kind of ensure that they're gonna be able to make some funds or reserve spots, do we allow them to camp out there? But then if we allow them to camp out there, that's the question of security. And who's paying for that, how much security? So it's a number of things, and then we're gonna allow, I think the first question before getting into logistics about parking and security is if you even want to do that. And then, also, if we're gonna be presenting it forward to the organizations that if you get involved, you can take some of the funds, then is it gonna be that they're splitting the funds evenly amongst each other, and is the city involved? Is the city taking a portion, or are we giving it all the funds to them? So that's a question, and then, so I guess first off, kind of hand it back to you, that was kind of a summary. Do you first like the structure of the Solar Eclipse Committee, of having one representative from each organization?
I do not.
No?
I think you ought to leave it at 1,000 cars. It's manageable. I think you ought to have a professional management company out there. I think you incur too much risk.
So that would be the question of parking management, if we, the city, pays for that. But in regard to the structure of the board, and do you think that that's okay with one representative
I
from
heard what the next gentleman said on the first public hearing we had. He said, let's put our best foot forward if we can afford it. Because you're gonna have a lot of people. I've been with the cemetery now a while. I'll tell you, when somebody comes out there for a funeral, they're not necessarily looking at that particular funeral. They're looking at what's going on out in the cemetery. It's been that way forever. And you won't be, it's gonna be the same thing. There's signs to get them to 580, is that all set in place now? I mean, key avenue.
Yeah, the actual signs or the message boards that we've already got closed, council has, approved if we go forward with 580. We have temporary signals that were approved, so there's, some things we already have in place, depending on how that
It's just my
direction goes.
We get back to Stacy's question, she asked a question. She said, do you like the layout of the board that would actually, from these groups? Chuck, no?
No.
Okay.
So no
They have a
organizations.
purpose, not out.
So I think the biggest question we need to answer is, do we want to go ahead and move forward with this informational meeting and put out to the public, these nonprofits and local organizations that may be able to host this event?
To fix interest. To
Right.
find interest.
Yes, because it's the interest before we make any decision.
And then, again, the questions about, because these are gonna come up at this meeting, if we do this meeting, do we allow overnight camping? If we have food vendors or any kind of vendors, food trucks or anything else, as a city, are we willing to provide utilities to these food trucks or vendors? Are we gonna provide the water and electric, or we just turn this over to these organizations and say, hey, it's your problem now?
Alright, as far as the board layout goes, I'm just gonna talk about these one at a time. As far as the board layout goes, I think it's a great idea to do a board and get the community involved. As far as them managing the project, no, absolutely not. I don't think they're qualified, and I think it's way over what they can handle. Parking management needs to be handled by a private company, in my opinion, as well as security. Overnight camping, completely out of the question. I don't think we're set up for it. I don't think we're ready for it. It's not something that we can handle. I mean, you're talking about.
Before and after.
Yeah, exactly. Before, after, and during.
Yeah.
You're now becoming
To
a
set
campground.
up.
So that's a big giant no for me.
And it's gonna be an issue though, if we get there.
It is, it's gonna be.
Yeah, it is.
It's like we think it, and the day of the event, I doubt that they'll be.
I mean, I'm of the opinion, the day of the event, we're opening before dawn. I mean, we keep the gates closed, gates, whatever we can do. I mean, maybe this is a matter of, maybe we need to install a gate, maybe we need to do something to secure the park at this point. they can close it up and then open it up at a certain time, say, look at this is when it's gonna be open, you can come in and park, that's it.
4 and 6.
Yeah.
Can't close that way.
Yeah, and, I mean, that's where the security and parking management come in, they're like, okay, it's time to go. The only problem we run into with that is the abuse of alcohol during that time period. You know, when you got people that you're trying to push them out the gate, and they can't leave physically.
That's one of the biggest concerns we had the entire time, is because we know our local law enforcement will not be available to get out there and take care of any issues.
Yes. You know, the more I look at it, the more I get disgusted with the idea of this is a nightmare trying to manage this big giant area.
And the expectation of everywhere else, because of the time factor, is that you allow them to come in early so there's not gridlock and then stay because of the alcohol issue. I mean,
But everybody's doing that at the same time.
agreed,
Yeah.
There you go.
agreed. Yeah, it's a building situation.
Right.
It's just, you gotta-
I'm of a different opinion where, and I know it might be a nightmare too, but those come in by four, because if you just do it that morning, it doesn't feel like we just spent damn near $100,000.
That's right.
No, that's-
I totally get that, 100%, like, we just spent a whole bunch of money.
Yeah.
You might be able to mitigate some of that by taking another notch down, and it's not 1,000 cars, it's 500, something like that.
We just,
It's closed, everyone, everyone's gonna park on the side road and all that.
yeah, and I foresee that happening. I mean, if we say 500 cars, and we got somebody standing saying, sorry, you're 501, they're just gonna go park on the side of the road.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I know that it's gonna happen.
Mr. Brett, as we always get talking about the sports complex, and I'm not negative on it. Like everybody else, I want to put our best foot forward any way we can. But I see us, and we do this on the side without you, we get to talk about the sports complex, it's easy to concentrate so hard. Like you're looking at the map of that park area and thinking about it in a vacuum. During this day's event, we're gonna have all of this stuff going on all over town that we all have to deal with at the same time. Again, we don't know. If you listen to the pro equipers and read the information and all, it's gonna be like we're talking about there, but it's gonna spread out all over the whole city to have. Maybe we were wrong, maybe it won't be that much. However busy it is out there, it's gonna be that busy everywhere. We just, I think, got to think about the whole package, thinking about looking at our whole town from above, thinking it's gonna be that busy everywhere, and we're responsible for the whole shooting match. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I know we sometimes forget to think of it that way because we get so fixated on this part of this whole thing. That's all I'm going to mention.
So if we're gonna have to have the security parking out there that day, what about, whether it's like $20 a parking spot or something like that, what if we did open up night before, we have 500, basically tickets where you go out there and camp out before, but it's a couple hundred, something like that. And then you look at people, then we get our return, then we're able to pay, security will be able to pay parking, and you might actually cover some of the other expenses. But look at the 500 folks, have it just not for camp. And that's it.
Just close the gates after that and make it, I'm gonna say an exorbitant price, but make it the price that you really want to be there.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what every private
Right.
person and citizen in business is doing right now. Shoot, we're gonna jump in on it, look better.
Yeah, and I think the price of parking, is that something that we haven't really talked about. You
And
know,
I think payment is gonna be a big thing in how we're going to
how do we collect
obtain
that?
the funds, correct?
Yeah.
Because if we do it through the city,
Is that something that we can do through the website?
yes, that's what we're gonna say, is that that's gonna be a GL that's gonna have to be moved, so it's gonna be a manual process. There's gonna be a lot of manual work from staff to move that money if we do it in-house. Something to consider as well, unless we go,
I mean, is there a way to set up this online payment process using credit cards? That's the only way you can pay, done.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a.
Prepay only.
One better price spot in that part of the 500 people for like a very good price. All the vendors who come out there if they want to, yeah, provide some utilities for them. And if people want to go out there, enjoy their time, have this exclusive place, and we can limit the number. And some businesses might be able to prosper as well out there. Well, maybe that's all.
Do we
I mean, I
have-
know there's still going to be issues, but.
Right, and again, we're back to, is this the city putting on this event? Is this
That's the city.
Or is that asking,
That's the city putting on the bid, if anyone wants to get on board, they can get on board. And then that way,
I mean, I love the idea of involving the groups, I just don't feel like they're qualified to park cars or do security.
It's not what they're used to.
No,
It's
it's,
not.
if we scale down, if we can do it like the staff can do, and then maximize the potential profit on there, also highlight the city, and that's a pretty unique experience to get to actually camp in a freaking awesome park. We're in a really awesome event. I don't know what that number is, but it's gonna be probably pretty expensive.
For sure, you walk on the trail.
so,
You know,
I've had some preliminary meetings with some of what I would call our heavy hitter organizations in town that put on events in town. Zero interest, they said, no way, we will not put that on. I just got confirmation while ago from another organization that said, no way.
Unless you do it, because, I mean, if no one else is gonna do it, let's do it. If y'all are willing to do it, like,
All the instruction from council, it's gonna be
Limited numbers.
limit the numbers, increase the price,
Big price.
make sure we have security.
security, I think security is a big thing, no matter who puts security on, I think we're in charge of security.
and then it's like board security part.
Yeah,
I mean-
it's all that we can afford, it's just, I don't know if we're gonna
There-
be able to get T-pole or for that long of a time, for your security officers.
You got security, you got security, right? Hopefully we'll get to you.
I think it's possible,
Okay, alright,
to get, depending on the number you're coming down to, now, I think about something like that, less we would need. Because we would more likely to get, especially when we do enough in advance.
okay.
So,
Where's ours, that's
there's no.
There's no, like,
We're not just having a temporary, it would have to be.
So are you thinking also about entertainment, food trucks? Is that something we're taking on, or would we pass that, maybe that's where organizations can get involved?
I think you all work with food trucks, every team want to come out, that's the thing.
I'm not for doing the temporary, if you can rough it, you can rough it, and if you
No,
can do it.
food trucks, they can be fully self-contained. Most
That's
of them
right.
are. They set up in pastures all over.
That's right.
Parking lots. They can
And
make.
if you wanna come out there and camp, you need to learn, okay, this is self-contained.
Yeah.
You're
You
all
just
in.
put all those restrictions,
Yeah.
you put it all.
There's no hookups.
And maybe even have them sign a waiver on the way in, I mean, that's definitely an option. Huh?
Online, when they look.
Yeah, online and both, but yeah, definitely a waiver,
Yeah, I
to release liability.
Everything was set up, and then like, Greensburg, people started reserving, yeah, they can use it. I don't know.
Just see what kind of interest you get.
Yeah.
I really think that we need to open, if we're gonna open it up, we need to open up. Because I don't think they'll be able to get there the day of, I really don't,
And it helps the traffic in town.
of course. They're already there, they're already parked, they're in their destination.
Might pull some more people not before they go out of town too.
So what we're saying is limited to 500 overnight with a fairly hefty charge for the night. I mean, and kind of basically that in round numbers, is doing $200 a night, 500.
Do we have, we're gonna park 500 cars.
500 cars, that's $100,000.
I mean, what, people show up in 50. Where we're gonna put that?
Yeah.
And then you have X amount of number of vendors that are allowed out there and are fully self-contained.
You gotta think, a lot of these vendors are probably are already committed to other places.
I think,
Yeah.
I hate to make more work, but I think a site plan of, okay, these are where the vendors are.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know,
we fully expect the
we
separation.
have to do that.
Here's what the vendors do.
And-
Yeah, this is like,
Yeah, that's all they got.
What's your input? What do you think?
I think you've got to get it to a size that's manageable. The overnight, I agree with you, a site plan is going to be really helpful because, you know, I think about mixing parking with tent camping. That's maybe not a good thing.
No.
So but I think it becomes easier to plan for if you limit the number. We've got how many acres
About 12 and a half acres
and
there.
12 and a half acres.
camping area, parking area,
Well, yeah,
they brought an RV pop up, that area, vendor area, side area, if there's any.
And vendors, I mean, if they want to come, let them come, but I don't know that we necessarily have the time or resources to go out and recruit a bunch of them. But it certainly would make it known that, hey,
And it's available.
it's
So you
available.
just put it on the website, and then we'll just start pushing it out there.
Yeah.
But I think the,
Number is probably going pretty quick.
I think the whole idea initially was how do we transfer this responsibility so that we can keep our workforce and our human resources kind of intact to deal with getting cats out of trees or whatever else we have to do, fix some water leaks, that sort of thing. So I think that's still the goal of staff at this point. We've got to be able to respond to city issues.
Those words I wouldn't hire out.
And so if we hire some of this out, or if it's a manageable amount of people, then it becomes easier for us to do. Am I off the mark there?
Does anyone know like what spots are going for right now during that week? Like,
Yeah, I'm sorry, most of the places that I've gone to, they're dividing up their parks, and it's a 3-night minimum usually, and they're anywhere from $200 to $300 a night. So, and it just depends, but they are also providing entertainment and food and all those things, I mean, just available. So we're kind of going in that direction, it'll just be a lot more, smaller and modified.
So if we can figure out what is it gonna cost to have parking and security from the day before, say 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 6 o'clock in the evening, the next day, 26 hours. Get a ballpark number and then try to figure out, okay, what is it gonna cost to park 5 on Thursday?
Right. That'll be different, right?
You know,
Or we consider the 2-night minimum, or?
I wouldn't mind the whole thing.
I think too, Friday or Monday, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
you
use
got, then you have
that
that parking management, somebody to
Friday night conference, Saturday.
approve this is for people coming in and out of the park.
Not handle 500 cars, not if you handle that, or do we?
One night,
2 nights.
2 nights.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to think about it, talk to the control center a little bit, knock it around. The fully staffed, it seems like we might be able to, I just don't know, and I need to commit, I don't know exactly how many employees we have at that point. But, I think overnight, prior to a big rush, you wouldn't need a lot of security there overnight. This is not a wild crowd like a spring road dance. If you're limiting that many people, I would think one person with good communications might be enough to get through the night, not be able to do that during the day while everybody's there, maybe a couple. So I don't think we would need a lot of security for 500 cars and roughly 1,500 people or something. Especially if you're going to get there early, we're not worried about that influx of people. One of my concerns has been people getting there right on time, wanting to get in because they paid early. 580 gets a lot of traffic, we can't get everybody in, we got people upset, there's no turn lane. You see, that's been one of my greatest concerns. And having to get enough officers out there, see everybody happy, try to get that done.
Doing
It
this
seems a little more manageable to me as I'm saying it in this case.
And what all does that parking quote, come with too? You gotta think about what their responsibilities are, and what you're actually paying for. Is it just a couple people to stand there? Do they do any online ahead of time booking? I just
Do we
don't
need
know
a
the
parking
contract, the parking
Do
quote,
we
yeah,
need
the
a
parking
parking
company.
These guys are gonna take care of
Yeah.
it? Yes, we do.
Oh, yeah, you've gotta have somebody to,
Especially when we're going to segregate buses from town.
yeah. So you would want
Well, I think
still
once-
parking management?
Once if we could, and I'm sure we would, develop a site plan, you check in, just like campground, here you go. Okay, you're in site, whatever.
And this parking company might do all that already.
No, one officer, I don't think can handle that. That's what we have to have. a
Or should
parking
they
management.
have to try that?
Right.
Alright, so you really highlighted the town that weekend because people are gonna be around, right?
Yes.
Like, so this is a once in a lifetime deal. You go stay out at that complex, be in town. There's only 500 offers there. It is a 3-night minimum. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, see they put it Monday, you're popping summer. And $250 middle of the night, that's $750 for 3 nights, times 500, that's $375,000. If we come out even, something like that, I don't know, those crazy numbers.
Nope.
No, because,
No, it's
that was right with the budget.
we got stupid good local talent that doesn't have to travel very far, they'll probably go out there and play for.
Every offering?
Speaking of,
Are you offering? He's waiting for himself.
I said, let's say talent.
What do you need, a new spectator? Stand up?
I'm actually more so planning on leading one on that Saturday night. We're gonna
Trader, so you're free Friday?
Anyways.
That's the same as supposedly it comes around here Sunday night.
Yeah, that's right, it's Louisville, right? Or no,
Jason Roberts.
it's, okay, it's Bob Wilson.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, that's awesome. Takes me.
Okay, so the public information meeting, whatever we're gonna call it, we
Well,
don't need that.
I think we're gonna have to do something. If we're gonna be doing asking for entertainment, I think we need to, we're gonna have to put some sort of informational session together to get
You
that.
might still reach out.
Yeah,
Anyone who wants to be
I know.
involved, come on, let's like help. If you want to be involved, you know, because there's people that call and say, no, what are we doing, or what can we do? This is what you can do.
Yeah, but you don't want a lot of Indians, sorry, you don't want a lot of chiefs. That's why I'm pointing somebody from each group that's.
Well, there are no chiefs, the chiefs are sitting around right here in this room, and we haven't seen them.
Yeah.
That's.
And I think, I don't think it needs to be in the organization sense.
We'll handle it.
Anyone who wants to help, like more of a, who has interest in
Yeah.
helping?
Because
that's one.
outside of the parking company and then, I mean, staff wise, security, outside of parking and security, I mean, you're gonna need additional volunteers.
Absolutely. They had a great idea too about, hey, this is a spot here, here's 500, your spot's one, your spot's over there. Like, you can camp here, you can park here, this is your spot. Right, for the next 3 days. And there's the porta potties, go get drunk in town, if it's not out here, don't burn the place down, don't act like an idiot, if someone punch you in the face. And you might get arrested. And punched in the face, not by the police, but a concerned citizen.
Okay, I can't hear everything really well, but I did have a question about, it said, so it went from 2 nights to 3 nights. So what if we do engage and get a parking management company, and we don't get any buyers because they don't want to come on Friday? So are we gonna be flexible with that, say Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or are we gonna have a hard?
I think what I'd like to suggest is staff needs to get together and flush out this concept that council has proposed that we think kind of makes sense, but I think we probably need to get our heads together too, and figure out the best way to manage with a little limited number, smaller amounts. What does that mean for public safety and response, emergency response? What does it mean for how that site is managed? We can come up with a fine tune this concept a little bit better. Does that make sense?
And I know from a finance perspective, I think we would prefer to have the management company take money. Is that correct?
It's kind of hard to set up on, I mean, we can set it up on the miscellaneous on the website. It commingles with other things. We would have to talk to our merchant and see about setting up a credit card ahead of time. I hate to take cash or,
I'm thinking credit cards like we do with utility bills. I mean, we have that set up, right? Why don't we just set up a separate site that's just specifically for this? Take the credit cards, do that.
Well, I think we do that now with some miscellaneous stuff, but where it falls, you have to move it manually, so it's not it just doesn't go into the right pot. So somebody has to physically go in.
Nobody comes in and asks.
We don't know what it comes in as, that's a problem.
there's so many things on top there.
Yeah, that's a
Figure it
problem,
out.
we don't know what it comes in as, we have to lose the manuals, we shouldn't have to do that.
That was kind of one of the things I talked about earlier, because I talked with Monica, I talked with Vaughn just a little bit. There may be an opportunity for some other vendor just during this, that could be paid into and moved over, you know.
So is it pretty hard to set up another bank account, like another separate account, what it goes into?
And we know it's hard to set up a bank account, but how do you get the money in there? Is it a credit card online? Is it coming, you know?
I think it's all online.
Let's say credit card online, that's the only way you can do it. See, so many people are used to paying bills and stuff, everything online, or on their phone, they can log in, boom, there it is.
I mean, it's not really, you gotta set up your chamber of commerce. That's really collecting your money and not paying someone else to collect your money.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't need that.
yeah, no, that's wrong, man. I don't think we should pay somebody, good, city money.
If someone needs to do that, I guess I'll try
prepaid to be able to park. They have to be prepaid to be able to park.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely.
Then we know like on.
They'll be prepaid and they bring their own little ticket that says I'm prepaid. Here's my name, my confirmation number, and
Chief Cummins and Chief Smith, do you guys see any issues with this for public safety?
We were just talking again, this is kind of new, we're just soaking it in, but, you know, I certainly like the idea of less people. That makes sense, it's more manageable. And it seems a lot safer. More nights stretched out, that's not a bad idea, but I would see us having to man the gate 24/7 from the time we say you can't show up. Otherwise, you're gonna have other people trying to get in. They're not gonna stay for 3 solid days. If you get 3 days, they're gonna come and go from town, which is kind of the idea, but you gotta man that gate. You gotta make sure other people aren't coming and going and trying to get in and taking over spots. So, you know, like the manager said, I'd like to sit down, staff, you know, wrap our heads around this, kind of come back. But certainly better than 2,000 cars, 8,000 people. I'll say that. I feel a lot better, but that is.
I'm gonna say a good break session.
Anything else?
Yeah, I'm good.
Right, anything else? You guys good? All you guys good? All right. Regarding any items on the regular agenda? If not, then we'll adjourn the workshop session, come back right at 7 o'clock.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this opportunity tonight to come visit with all of the good folks of the city and the area and our council. We thank you for this beautiful building and this great community. We appreciate the opportunity to take care of your business. We ask that you be with us as we pass this information around so that good decisions can be made that benefits the entire community. And as a side note, we'd sure appreciate a little rain. If you can see a little bit come our way, that'd be greatly. We ask that you forgive us of our sins, watch over us in safety, and be with us until we can meet again. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Join me in the pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. There is no presentations and proclamations. 1.1 Citizens' Comment. Any citizen who desires to address the City Council on a matter not included on the agenda may do so at this time. City Council may not deliberate on items presented under this agenda item. Mr. Loris Torres, thank you for being here.
Mayor, could I get Ms. Torres started? She's a little nervous, and I've visited with her before.
Yes, sir.
Is that acceptable? Okay.
Okay, I'm Dolores Torres, and I'm from Tucson, Arizona, but I was born and raised here in Lampasas. My issue, I have been trying to get and talk to you since 2021, but I was told that you didn't have an office, they couldn't give me a phone number where I could talk to you. I came last year, I still wasn't able to talk to you, and I'm here today. I still wasn't, but a member that I went to see, a nephew of mine that was really sick, she was a member of the council, and she gave me all the information that you were having a meeting every 2 and 4, of the month, and the address and phone number and everything. But I called and I wasn't able to talk to you. I believe I talked to your secretary, and she said I had to attend. Here, I really wanted to talk to you, just you. I asked if I could talk to you after the meeting. She said no, so I'm here. My issue is, in 2021, my husband passed away, and his last wishes was, and mine also, and that's why I'm here. I want to make sure my last wishes are, his last wishes was he did not want to go, we call it the shortcut from St. Mary's Church, because we feel that that's not a very good neighborhood. I had people from Alaska, Redding, San Clemente, San Jose, Tulare, California, Missouri, all of those places. And I don't think there was a very good neighborhood to take all those people through there.
Can you move the
Most
mouthpiece?
neighborhood there is, and I was told that it hadn't improved. I said, I know, I was born and raised here. I'm hard hearing, so I may be talking too loud.
No, they can't hear you.
Oh.
I'm hard of hearing
I thought I
too.
was talking too loud. Anyway, I was told by the funeral director that they had to talk to the police whenever they would escort us. And they didn't bring us, took him where he wanted to go, they took us through there. And, but I didn't know until later that he said that they didn't have enough manpower to take us through the light, all the way to the light. So that's why I wanted to bring this issue, because I don't want to go through that, even though I'm not going to know, I still don't know, but the people that are accompanying, I would like for them to go to a better, nicer street than that. And I know it has improved. It was dirt road, but the halfway is pretty decent, but halfway closer to the cemetery, it's awful. It's junk and not very nice. Any of you, I think it's Avenue E, the last street between the hospital and that filling station. Anybody can go see that it's not a very decent, And I don't know if St. Mary's Parish, have a complaint or anything, but I wanted to bring this, to the attention, because I think I did have a lot of people that would like to retire to smaller towns, but after seeing that street, they went right. They didn't even bother to look around to see if they liked it. I always told them it was a nice town because I was born here and raised. I've been gone for 45 years. I live to Tucson. But it's improved. Lampasas has improved since I left. A lot of Taco Bell, McDonald's, and all that stuff, but that street hasn't, a little bit, but not that much. And that I wanted to bring it to the attention because I think it's good for the town too. And to make sure that I would be taken to the light when I go. So that was my issue, and I don't know. I had talked to the chief of police before, and he said that, they should have taken, at your last wishes, and then all I had to do was just tell the funeral director we did, but they didn't do it.
Okay.
So I just wanted to bring it to the attention, because when the time comes, all my family have moved to California and all, but they all come over here and be buried at Oak Hill Cemetery. So,
Ms. Torres, thank you very much. And do you have, Ms. Sims, have her number? I will give you a call.
okay.
I will give you a call.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming.
All right.
Citizens comment. Any citizens who desires to address the city council on a matter that is included on the agenda may do so at this time. Okay. Public hearing to receive the citizens' comment regarding a request to amend Chapter 66, Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Places, and an article excavation, adding Section 66 through 129, temporary use of right-of-way for construction, excavation, or facility installation and associated fees.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item was discussed during workshop, and this item is in place on the agenda to provide the opportunity for public comment regarding the requested amendment to the Lampasas Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Places, Article 4, Excavation, adding Section 66-129, temporary use of the right-of-way for construction, excavation, or facility installation, and associated fees. Again, this item was discussed during workshop.
Any questions? Public hearing to receive citizens' comment to consider preliminary plat for the Moore subdivision, 5.556 acres, a subdivision out of LHW Johnson Survey A 419, Lampasas, Texas, Lampasas County.
Good evening again. Sam Walker from Eckerman Engineering and Joe Abel from the property owner. They're asking City Council to consider approval, denial, or approval of modification to the preliminary plat. The proposed development is 5.556 acres and has been platted into 4 lots. As of July 20th, 2023, all staff comments pertaining to the plat and site plan have been addressed. Lot 1 and 2 will consist of a plus or minus 21,000 square foot gym, and then it'll have a 4,900 square foot spa. The other 2 lots will be currently vacant at this time. They have worked with TxDOT regarding the access points off of 281, as well as we're still working on getting electric identified for the design, and then that will be under separate instrument in regards to the easements of how that will be assessed. Part of that is that part of the electrical that feeds this development will also feed the traffic light, the new one that'll go in there at Omnis. Planning Commission did recommend approval at the August meeting. If you have any questions, Mr. Walker is here.
Any questions for Mr. Walker?
So lot 3 and 4 are the ones that are gonna be vacant along
The one that has the
Omnis
frontage.
and 281?
How big are those lots?
Well, the total acreage is 5.556 acres. There's a couple that are a little over 2. I think they're, I don't know. I mean, they're on the plat itself. You have one that's 6.77 acres, one that's 1.492 acres. Yeah. So.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I couldn't read the small print.
Yes, they're gonna be undeveloped right now. He doesn't have a buyer for those 2 lots yet.
Okay. Are those for sale at this time?
Not right now, no, sir.
No, okay.
We need to get the plat done, and then the goal is to get the gym and the spa going, and then, I'll be honest, I do not know what Mr. Abel's plan is for selling those ones.
Okay.
We still have a little bit of work to do.
Yes. We did work out a right turn lane into the main driveway there with TxDOT. So at the signalized intersection, we're gonna have a right turn lane in. They're gonna put a dividing of basically raised median with brakes in it, so that it'll prohibit people from turning left. If you're going south on 281, you can't turn left into that second entrance. So we've worked with TxDOT on all that. As Becky mentioned, we're gonna have the signal transformer on our property. It'll also supply power to the gym, so we're working very closely with them.
I would assume the driveway, because I don't know this, I can't see this, is the slash line
Yes.
straight out, okay.
We had to,
Then you got, I see, this is all culvert, I assume.
correct,
Underneath is it.
we're gonna have large 8x3 culverts going under the drive. We did have to dedicate,
Underneath the lots.
well, between the 2, yes,
Yeah.
east, west. Is Mr. Eagle's idea trying to save those larger palm trees as much as we can? That is the plan, yes, sir. If the
And there's some
drought
water
will stop.
lines.
We also have city mains running right through the middle of the property along with that drainage, so
Yeah.
we were very limited on the apartment side with the amount of land we had to work with, and then across the drainage and utilities back towards 281.
Anything else?
So you did a good job of buying this thing up, because I know it wasn't easy.
It's tight.
Look at it. Yeah.
Move on to 1.5. Public hearing to receive citizens' comments to consider a final plat for the Moore subdivision, 5.556 acres. The subdivision out of the LHW Johnson Survey A 419, Lampasas, Texas, Lampasas County.
Mayor and council, this is exactly the same item. The only difference is that we're going to do the final plat at the same time we're doing the preliminary plat this evening.
Okay.
Any further questions? or anything?
1.6, public hearing to receive citizens' comments to consider a request to amend the City of Lampasas zoning ordinance by amending the following business park zoning districts. Section 30A dash business park zoning, zone 1, low intensity, BPZ1, section 30B, business park zone, medium intensity, BPZ2, section 30C, business park zone 3, high intensity, BPZ3.
Mayor and council, back in July of 2018, we had went through this same exercise and we actually identified the BP 1, 2, and 3 zones for the business park. Since that time, we have kind of reallocated and kind of went through and redefined some of the information we had in the original zoning. So we kind of, it's still going to be the low, medium, and high intensity. We just kind of elaborated a little more on what we expect for the build as it moves forward. So staff and LEDC have been working on the final covenants and restrictions and zoning regulations since January of 2022. In May of 2023, the board approved the final covenants draft. So since that time, we've been working diligently to modify the zoning regs to fit the covenants and the vision of the board. So I'm just going to kind of highlight some of the changes that have been made since 2018. So the zoning distinctions, general purposes, and description remain the same. The maximum height for the builds is going to be 70 feet, which is 6 to 7 stories depending on your floor height. And then the minimum square foot is 3,000 square foot per building. There'll be no temporary portable buildings allowed. Business Park 1, which is your low intensity, will have the light industrial with an office showroom. And that just means that the office showroom will be about 85% of the building itself. And then you'll have a little bit of room to have a showroom or an open space that is open to the public, whereas the warehouse side will not be open to the public. Outdoor storage is allowed based on specific percentage of the floor area or lot. So in Business Park 1, it's based on the actual building and floor area, whereas Business Park 2 and 3 are based on the lot size itself. BP1, which is your low intensity, requires outdoor storage to be screened from the public. So there's the lots that will be facing 183. They'll have to be screened so everybody can't see the outdoor storage as they're driving by or at that facility. Outdoor retail sales display are permitted in all districts. So similar to like a Lowe's or Home Depot, where they do have some outdoor storage space that's for retail, that's for sale, that is allowed in the business park. And the permitted uses in each zone have been identified, which provides more detail than just simply retail, commercial, industrial uses. And that is included in the actual packet. I kind of went through and gave you the actual BP1 and what the regulations are, and behind it all the uses and definitions we had. So Planning Commission did recommend approval at the August 3rd meeting. If you have any questions, myself or Stacy is more than happy to help you.
Any questions? Thank you. 1.7, public hearing to receive citizens' comments to consider a request to rezone property being 151.64 acres out of Daniel Straley Survey, abstract 0631, more specific, being the Lampasas Economic Development Corporation Business Park located on South US Highway 183 from area zoned agriculture AG, Business Park Zone 1, BPZ 1, Business Park Zone 2, BPZ 2, and Business Park Zone 3, BPZ 3.
Mayor and Council, so as you can see on your screen, we have actually the parcels laid out for you as the lots and kind of identified how those are going to be zoned. So it is 151.64 acres overall. Lot 1, which is going to be your 183 frontage, it's going to have 7.52 acres, and that's low intensity. Lot 2 is 3.703 acres, which is medium intensity. You have lot 3 that is 9.762 acres, and that's high intensity. Lot 4 is split, so you have 98 acres. It's split between Business Park 2, which is the medium intensity, which is the business boulevard frontage, so you can kind of see where it's kind of split in there. And then you also have BP 3, which is the high intensity, which is further back off of the frontage off 183 or Business Boulevard. Lot 5 is 25.192 acres, and that is split between Business Park 1, which is your low intensity, 183 frontage, and then Business Park 2, which is your medium intensity. So the Planning Commission did recommend approval at the August 3rd meeting. And if you have any questions about it, we'd be more than happy to help you.
Any questions?
I'm just curious, whoever purchased these lots, are they allowed to further develop them?
That is a possibility, of course. Right now, this is just kind of set up of what the vision was at the time, for as far as the zoning and the lot sizes. So as we would like the lots to sell as is, of course, but if they have to be divided, depending on what they want to put there development-wise, then I'm sure that's something that can be negotiated between the EDC board.
Okay.
Any other discussion, questions?
No, sir.
Thank you. 1.8, public hearing to receive citizens' comment regarding the voluntary annexation of 12.74 acres of land out of James Easley Survey ABST number 185, Lampasas County, Texas, and being part of that tract described in a special warranty deed to the David and Karen Love Livings Trust dated November 12, 2018, and recorded on volume 550, page 125 of the deed records record, Lampasas County.
Mayor and Council, Ron Cooker had filed for the petition for the voluntary annexation on July 17th of 2023. The legislation has changed regarding the voluntary annexation process. Council is no longer required to grant the petition to proceed with a public hearing. The change is something that was done to kind of expedite the annexation process. The subdivision is 12.74 acres of land, and the owner has requested that the preceding the annexation, that the property be zoned multifamily to apartments. Staff has published the public hearing in the newspaper and sent the required certified letters to various entities per the local government code, such as the county, LISD, LCAD, Atmos, Suddenlink, NextLink, et cetera. I did provide you with an example that I sent to the county in your packet, so you'll see what is required. I do have a citizen in the audience who would like to speak on this as well with regarding to concerns that he may have, but if you have any questions for me, I'll be more than happy to answer them as well.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Paul Kramer, and I own the property that is going to be bordered by this annexation on the east side and the south side. I've gone through this once already when y'all decided to annex the neighborhood across the street for your boondoggle of the business park. So I stand in my grass, I'm in the county. I step into the street, I'm in the city. If you guys accept this voluntary annexation, I'm now surrounded on 3 sides by the city. I don't want to stand in my backyard and look out and see 2-family multi-home apartments out there. I don't think you folks would want that if this was your property either. Single-family homes, a development, okay, wouldn't be happy, but I could deal with that. These are going to be rental apartments. A couple of years from now, 5 years from now, the owners aren't going to be living there anymore. It's going to be people renting them. The people that rent them don't care as much as the owners. I'm urging you not to accept this. It's just going to be another nail in the coffin, and honestly, if you guys go through with this, odds are at some point in the near future, I'm probably going to end up selling the property and moving away from the city to get away from this sort of stuff. We bought our house specifically because it wasn't in the city and there was no HOA. Right now, the city is at my curb, and if you accept this, the city is going to be around me on 3 sides. What happens when you guys decide, well, he's surrounded on 3 sides, let's just annex him as well? I don't want the higher taxes for what I get. There's no improvement in services that I get for that. You guys need to draw the line somewhere. Please, I'm urging you. Don't allow this to go through. I realize it's voluntary, but you folks don't have to accept it. Do something to help one of the taxpayers here. I can't ask any more than that, but enough is enough, really. Any questions?
You guys have any questions for Mr. Kramer? Thank you, Mr. Kramer.
Thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Do y'all have any questions for me regarding the annexation?
No. No, we cannot just annex. It has to be voluntary.
Talking here, can't hear you.
Just wanted to clarify for Mr. Kramer down the road, one of your worries is getting forced to be annexed into the city. That can't happen.
No.
Like,
No.
that's illegal. The city can't do that. Well, maybe prior, but there's legislation that's changed.
That is correct. It is only voluntary.
I'm just passing along what I know legally on there, or just what my understanding, and because I'm with you on that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion and possible actions concerning approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on July the 24th, 2023.
I didn't see any corrections, recommend approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Discussion and possible actions concerning the approval of minutes of the special call meeting held on August the 7th,
Again, I didn't see any corrections, recommend approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda, discussion and possible action regarding the purchase and charges in excess of $4,000 from July the 1st, 2023 to July the 31st, 2023.
Recommend approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Discussion and possible action regarding the June 2023 investment report. Oh. City manager report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just a few brief comments. You do have in your packet the Hamilton EMS monthly report. I just want to note that of the 313 total calls, 135 were for service in the city of Lampasas. That's 44%. Also, call your attention to the response time, which was well within target at 5 minutes and 41 seconds in town. And I think all the discussion that I've been having, not only with personnel from Hamilton EMS, but also with Chief Cummings, indicates that the dispatching services that's being provided by the city for the county has met all parties' expectations. Executive time, we've talked about this occasionally regarding the implementation of this HR software, primarily for time off, time sheet, programming. It does integrate with our general ledger and city's encode software. We do want to also acknowledge that change is hard. We get used to paper and we get used to doing things a certain way, and this will be tough on folks like me that push paper around and don't do it on the computer, but we will be starting the pilot testing August 20th, and we know that the benefits will be there. We just have to get used to them. Hostess House, we have been in contact with Reliance Architecture. I think perhaps I even emailed council regarding conversation I had with Antonio after the council meeting on the 24th. I do plan to bring this back to you on the 28th. He's been out of town, but I'll be visiting with him this week, and we'll begin to start to package up options for council consideration. National Night Out, Chief Cummings and I know, I believe probably Chief Smith as well has been planning the National Night Out for October 3rd at the HEB parking lot. It's always a good time to allow our residents to interact with local and state public safety and first responding personnel. There'll also be a lot of support organizations in attendance, including the Hill Country 100 Club, and I think you can probably get a hot dog and listen to some music out there as well. Calvert Building, we've done some repairs to the roof and scuppers and downspouts. Some of that was under warranty, and some of it was we took advantage of really a fairly discounted price on some of the other improvements, including the downspouts. Now that they're 100% complete, we'll go and start patching up some stuff inside that was the victim of some water integration. So, board appointments, we just want to remind you that September is a month for board appointments. Those are for expiring terms, and those positions will, up for renewal, will be provided to council with board rosters, and usually take care of those over a couple of meetings. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
I'd like to make a few comments here this evening. One of the things that it's on all of our hearts and minds right now is the water issues. And right now we're moving into a stage 4 water conservation. The details of the stage 4 water conservation are spelled out on the city Lampasas website. And as you know, we're at a critical time of drought here and throughout, and even around our world, we're seeing things that are just almost an anomaly. I think about Lahaina, which we lived there at one time, and the town just literally has burned down, which has grieved us. We have lots of friends. Anyway, I wanted to just take this time and just ask that you guys would remember to pray for rain, because it's out of our hands, and we need rain to come upon us, and no need to panic. I think God's got it all under control. And with that, we'll move into the discussion and selection of the website photo contest.
Mayor and City Council, there were 9 photo entries for the month of July.
I guess we need to consider a motion on.
I'd move to select entry number 3.
Write these down.
Second.
Got a second on 3? Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. So photo 3 does it. I thought we had to get 2. No. Okay, I got you. I didn't know that. All right, discussion and possible action to approve the first reading of the ordinance to amend Chapter 66, Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Places in Article 5 in the excavation, adding Section 66, 129, temporary use of right-of-way for construction, excavation, or facility installation, and ordinance to amend Appendix A fee schedule for Section 66 Street, adding rates and fees for temporary use of right-of-way as defined.
Good evening, Mayor, Council again. This is one we did discuss in the workshop as it pertains to the right-of-way use permit, talking with, staff contractors and controlling what's in the right-of-way as far as city right-of-way and how we can manage that. You know, the main concerns that we discussed were liability, safety, impact to the traveling public, and our citizens. So this permit kind of captures that and gives us a way to manage and understand what's out there.
Move to approve the first reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 66, Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Places, Article 4, Excavation, adding Section 66-129, Temporary Use of Right-of-Way for Construction, Excavation, or Facility Installation, and an ordinance to amend Appendix A, Fee Schedule for Section 66, Streets, adding rates and fees for temporary use of right-of-way as defined.
Second.
Any discussion? Questions?
I guess this permit process, how invasive is it? I guess what I'm getting at is if you have somebody just doing minor work, that they may encroach into the city's right-of-way. How invasive is this permit process?
So the way it's structured, I think there's some latitude there for the city manager's designee, which is called out in the ordinance as the director in this position, but having the ability to look at those permits as they come in. So if somebody was to submit a permit, and when you say less invasive, example, somebody that's trimming trees out there along the roadside, I think it does give the latitude to address that and see what the true impacts. The goal of the permit is really to look at the impacts to our right-of-way, have a way to manage any kind of loss or, you know, having to come back for repairs or those types of things, but there is some latitude for that if there are some kind of one-off scenarios.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion and possible action to consider approval of the preliminary plat, Moore subdivision, 5.556 acres, and the subdivision out of the LHW Johnson Survey, A-419, Lampasas, Texas, Lampasas County.
Mayor and council, this item was discussed during public hearing. At this time, I'm asking that you make a motion to approve the preliminary plat for the Moore subdivision.
Move to approve the preliminary plat for the Moore subdivision, 5.556 acres, the subdivision out of the LHW Johnson Survey, A-4119, Lampasas, Texas, Lampasas County.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Becky. Discussion and possible action to consider the approval of the final plat for the Moore subdivision, 5.556 acres, a subdivision out of the LHW Johnson Survey, A-419, Lampasas, Texas, Lampasas County.
Mayor and council, this item was discussed during public hearing, and at this time, I'm asking for consideration of approval of the final plat.
Move to approve the final plat for the Moore subdivision, 5.556 acres, a subdivision of the LHW Johnson Survey, A-419, Lampasas, Texas, Lampasas County.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Discussion and possible action to consider the approval to amend the City of Lampasas zoning ordinance by amending the following business park zoning district. Section 30A, Business Park Zone 1, Low Intensity, BPZ1. Section 30B, Business Park Zone 2, Medium Intensity, BPZ2. Section 30C, Business Park Zone 3, High Intensity, BPZ3.
Mayor and council, this item was discussed during public hearing, and at this time, I'm asking to consider a motion to approve the first reading of an ordinance to amend the City of Lampasas zoning ordinance by amending the following business park zoning districts. Section 30A, Business Park Zone 1, Section 30B, Business Park Zone 2, and Section 30C, Business Park Zone 3.
Move to approve the first reading of an ordinance to amend the City of Lampasas zoning ordinance by amending the following business park zoning districts. Section 30A, Business Park Zone 1, Low Intensity, BPZ1. Section 30B, Business Park Zone 2, Medium Intensity, BPZ2. Section 30C, Business Park Zone 3, High Intensity, BPZ3.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Discussion and possible action to consider the approval to consider request to rezone property being 151.64 acres out of Daniel Straley Survey Abstract 0631, more specifically being Lampasas Economic Development Corporation Business Park located in South US Highway 183 from an area zoned agriculture to AG, Business Park Zone 1, BPZ 1, Business Park Zone 2, BPZ 2, and Business Park Zone 3, BPZ 3.
The mayor and council, this item was discussed during public hearing, and at this time I'm asking for consideration to approve the first reading of the ordinance to rezone from agricultural to Business Park 1, Business Park 2, and Business Park 3.
Move to approve the first reading of an ordinance to rezone property being 151.64 acres out of the Daniel Stanley Survey, Abstract 0631, more specifically being the Lampasas Economic Development Corporation Business Park located on South US Highway 183 from an area zoned agricultural, ag, to Business Park Zone 1, BPZ 1, Business Park Zone 2, BPZ 2, and Business Park Zone 3, BPZ 3.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 7.7, discussion and possible action regarding the first and final reading of an ordinance to approve a voluntary annexation request from Ron Cooker for 12.74 acres of land out of the James Easley Survey, ABST number 185, Lampasas County, and being part of that tract described in special warranty deed to the David and Karen Love Living Trust dated November 12th, 2018, and recorded in volume 580, page 125 of the deed records of Lampasas County.
Mayor and council, this item was discussed during public hearing. At this time, I'm asking for consideration to approve the first and final reading of the ordinance to voluntarily annex in the property described as 12.74 acres of land out of the James Easley Survey. Go ahead.
I move to approve the first and final reading of an ordinance to voluntary annex in property described as 12.74 acres of land out of the James Easley Survey, Abstract number 185, Lampasas County, Texas, and being a part of that tract described in a special warranty deed to the David and Karen Love Living Trust dated November 12th, 2018, and recorded in volume 550, page 125 of the deed records of Lampasas County.
Second.
Any discussion?
Hearing the opposition, to be honest, I kind of want, personally, I'd want to think about it more. I think Mr. Kramer makes some good points. Just my own personal. I know you got a stunned look, but I personally just would like more time to think about that. It's weird because you don't want, as a government entity, to try to tell anyone how to really use their land and affect anyone's use of it or their enjoyment of their own land. So I've got some problems with it.
Somebody's voluntarily wanting to be annexed, we'll be telling them that they can't be as a government agency?
No, I'm saying basically with us accepting, then we're interfering with someone else's right to their property or enjoyment. I just personally have some problems with it, but I also don't want to get in the way of business. It's just, that's why I'd like a little bit more time to think about that, but I'd probably.
I would like a little bit more time to think about it too. First and final reading all in one meeting is a little much.
You want to move to table it?
We're going to make a move to table it. We have a motion Here, we don't have a second.
We do.
We do have a second?
Now, if we table it, can we bring it back up?
There is no tabling, so if it dies tonight, we'll have to bring it up to the next meeting, and have it, for further consideration.
You will have to address the motion on the table, on the motion.
Yes.
So I would move to take no action tonight, let it die, and come back the next meeting.
So we've already got a motion on the floor?
We have a motion and a second.
But what you have a motion to approve and a second. So if you wanted to amend that motion, you could amend the motion. However, you'd still have to come back to the main motion, which is approval.
So I would move to amend striking approval and coming back next session.
And I'm going to second that.
Any other discussion on that?
So that was a first and a second, so no discussion.
All in favor?
Okay.
And so this will be on the
All in favor to amend the motion?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there opposition? Because you do need 4 affirmative votes.
There was 4 ayes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this will come back up on the next council meeting?
Yes, sir, I can do
Okay.
that.
All right. Discussion and possible action regarding the approval of a pole attachment agreement by and between the Fiber Light LLC and the City of Lampasas for use in the attachment to the city's utility poles.
Mayor and Council, this is a 95% boilerplate agreement that was developed with Georgia Crump, with Lloyd Gosling, as well as Greg Fender, who was also a utility consultant for us at the time. We were renegotiating our AT&T pole attachments and Suddenlink pole attachments. Fiber Light is relatively new. They need to, because of the 281 project, attach to one of our poles. The only modification that we made to our boilerplate was in section 11.2. We don't anticipate ever having to attach to them, but what they have told us, they will pay us according to the terms that have already been drafted, but if we attach to theirs, they probably will just do a blanket allowance for it. But I think contractually it's to be negotiated at that time in a more inclusive. JC didn't have any issue with it. We're just seeking your approval for the pole attachment agreement and the authorization for my office to execute it.
Move to approve the pole attachment agreement by and between Fiber Light LLC and the City of Lampasas for use of the attachment to city's utility poles.
Second. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 7.9, discussion and possible action regarding the creation of a mural at Hester's Bookstore located at 516 East 4th Street.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item was kind of touched on a little bit during workshop with regarding to our mural. As the zoning administrator, I kind of handle all the sign ordinances and the sign placements and what needs to happen going forward as far as what can be done based on our regulations for the types of signs. So while no permit is required for a mural, it does come before y'all for any type of mural that is happening in the city of Lampasas. And a mural is defined as a work of art applied directly to a building's wall surface where forms, inner figures, inner land, or cityscapes are the dominant elements. Murals are intended for viewing, enjoyment by the public, and should not be intended for commercial purpose or advertising unless such intent is specifically approved by City Council. And that is the case for this specific request tonight for this mural. So the mural will not interfere with the existing wildflower mural on the side that faces Pecan, but this mural will be facing 4th Street, which will be located at 516 East 4th Street at the bookstore that is right in front of the Lampasas Beer Market. So the mural is being created by Ashley Holman, and she is the one that created the Do Lampasas Facebook initiative. So she has been working with the business owner, which is Anna in Dalton, and they have been working with her to come up with something that's elaborate and different and unique, and they came up with this mural, which are attached in the next 2 pages, kind of show you a concept of what they're doing, the rendering of the drawing that's going to be facing there on top of the building itself. And this will be in place of their actual business sign. So they won't have a sign overhead their door. They're going to have the mural that's going to be the side and on top of their door that will be a showcase and, you know, promote their business because it is a bookstore. So at this time, not only am I asking for your blessing for a mural, I'm also putting the stipulation in there that this mural will also be used as the Hester's business sign and will be classified as a marketing or advertising tool, which does need your blessing and approval to be able to display it. Now, with that being said, I have reached out to the business owners. They have got the information as far as what's required for the mural, and I will reach out to Ms. Holman as well and discuss what needs to happen because this is going to be the first one that we've worked on outside of what Vision Lampasas has done for the community.
I'd move to approve the Hester's Bookstore mural to be located at 516 East 4th Street, even though it's classified as advertising and marketing tool, as an advertising and marketing tool.
Second.
And, oh, do I need to throw in there, and that is a business sign?
Yes.
And also, though it's classified as a business sign.
Yes. Yeah. That is correct.
Still second.
Any discussion?
I think it's super cool. It looks so good.
It looks awesome.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
7.10, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed tax rate for the city of Lampasas upon all property subject to taxation within the city of Lampasas, Texas for the 2023 tax year for the use and support of the municipal government of the city of Lampasas for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023 and ending September 30th, 2024. Apportionment said levy amount of various funds and items for which a review must be raised, including providing a sinking fund for the retirement of the bonded debt of the city.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is, staff has asked for you to consider the proposed tax rate based on our calculations that we received from the Lampasas Appraisal District. If you will look in the summary, it shows your no new revenue rate and your, which used to be the effective rate, and the voter approval rate, which is used to be the old rollback rate. You can go right up under the voter approval rate and not be subject to an election. So staff has proposed a rate of 0.304888, which is above the no new revenue rate, but below the voter approval rate. And that was thunder, wasn't it?
Thank you, God.
I think it was.
It was. Jody, somebody's listening to you.
The vote on the approval of the tax rate does have to be a recorded roll call vote.
So I propose a tax rate of 0.304888 for the city of Lampasas for the fiscal year 2023, 2024.
Recommend approval.
Any discussion?
I gotta go.
So
I'll second it.
in order to balance the budget that's presented to us, we need this proposed tax rate.
Correct. We have to propose a tax rate. If you find in the next meeting that you want to change that, you can always go lower. You just cannot go higher.
Okay.
But you're right now, you are proposing a tax rate. So once you get this proposed, if this does pass, then we'll have to schedule a public hearing for the citizens to be able to come in.
So the current rate is 0.290586. That's
So
what
the
we're-
current rate is 0.3156, the 3156.
Okay. Okay.
It's actually
I
gonna be
must have
going
read that
down.
wrong. Okay.
You good?
So we have a motion.
Okay, Councilmember Williamson,
Approved.
Councilmember Prydas,
Approve.
Mayor Pro Tem Morris,
Approve.
Mayor Pierce,
Approve.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Approve.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Discussion and possible action regarding the approval of investment strategy policy resolution.
Oh, we've got one more in between there.
Oh, I'm sorry, 7.11. Discussion and possible action concerning the schedule of one public hearing regarding the proposed tax rate upon all property subject to taxation within the city of Lampasas, Texas, for the 2023 tax year for the use and support of the municipality government of the city of Lampasas for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023, and ending September the 30th, 2024, apportioning said levy among various funds and items for which review must be raised, including providing a sinking fund for the retirement of the bonding debt of the city.
Again, Mayor and Council, since the proposed tax rate that we did is above the no new revenue rate but below the voter approval rate, we must schedule one public hearing on the tax increase. The hearing must take place within the boundaries of the unit on a weekday that is not a holiday and have a quorum. It has to be within 7 days of the meeting to vote on the tax rate.
Move to schedule one public hearing on the proposed tax rate for September 6th, and the meeting to vote on the tax rate would be Monday, September 11th, 2023 at 6 p.m.
Second.
Oh, and September 6th at 5:30 at the Calvert Building.
5:30 or 5:30?
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Discussion and possible action regarding the approval of the investment and strategy policy resolution.
The city must approve their investment policy annually by a resolution. So this is our annual approval by resolution to approve of the investment strategy policy.
I move to approve the City of Lampasas investment and strategy policy.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank y'all very much.
And at this time, I'd like a motion to adjourn into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor and Council, without objection, I'd like to also include Yvonne Moreno, Ryan Ward, Becky Sims, and Stacy Ibarra.